Welcome back. I don't know at what point I decided that I was going to sing that every single time, but it's happened. And it's probably really annoying, but like, I'm sort of proud that I have a thing, an intro, if you will, that I didn't force. Because there's nothing worse than forcing something. So, unless there might be nothing worse than forcing something, but the only thing that could be worse is singing on a podcast that no one listens to. If I sound a little rough, no, I have not caught whatever variant's going around this time yet. Knock on wood. Thank goodness I have hardwood floors. I haven't, not yet. I'm sure it's coming for me. I wake up every day and think, but then it goes away. Does anyone else have that? Does anyone else wake up and you have a sore throat and then it goes away? It happens to me sometimes. Like, what is happening in the night that is forcing me, not forcing me, but causing me rather to, say rather one more time, that is forcing me to wake up with a sore throat? Like, what am I doing? Am I like, screaming in my dreams? Maybe. See, I don't remember my dreams. Very rarely do I wake up and think, oh, that was a crazy dream. And I don't think I've ever woke up and thought, oh, what a fun dream. Like, it's just, I've Googled it before, so I won't do a live Google search like I like to do, but I'm pretty sure everyone dreams, because it's like how your brain processes like memories or something like that. So like sometimes I think they get like jumbled in the way, this could be totally said like a total lie, but I'm pretty sure that sometimes, like, when you have a crazy dream, it's just, like, multiple things that have happened to you, like, combining and meeting in the dream processor, in the memory processor, and then it goes back into its proper files. Take that for what it is. I don't know if that's correct, but regardless, I hope everyone has had a great week. We are down to the wire. I believe either today, when I'm recording this, or today, when you're listening to this, is the start of the 12 days of Christmas, which means in 13 days of Christmas, Christmas is going to be over, which doesn't really work for me. I feel like I haven't done anything Christmassy, really. I have not gone to see a light show. I have not even had one of those Pillsbury sugar cookies, not sponsored, with the reindeer or the Santa on it. Like, I gotta kick my butt into high gear and just start doing all the Christmas things, because in 2 weeks it's gonna be over, and then it's gonna be a year before I can do it again, which is actually not true. I think I'm gonna start celebrating Christmas on October 1st next year. I'm done. I've listened to these losers that are like, you can't start listening to Christmas music to the end of November. You can't, like, start decorating for Christmas until, December 1st. I'm done. I've listened to you, and you've led me nowhere. You've led me into a glass wall of not having enough time to celebrate Christmas. So I am going to, I'm going to outsource some Christmas joy. If anyone knows of any way to chemically inject or naturally or whatever, like, inject some Christmas spirit, let me know. I do have some money left in my health spending account that I need to burn, so if we could maybe write that off as a medical expense, that would be even better. But I'm open. Nothing illegal and nothing processed. I decided yesterday I'm not eating any more processed foods until I had a cookie. What is processed food? Like, is any food that's not in its natural form processed? Because if that's the case, unless you're a farmer, you're kind of eating processed food. Let me Google. What does processed food mean? Let's see. See, I knew I would get to a Google search at some point. Okay. Food processing is the transformation of agricultural products into food. See, I was taught, they teach you this thing in school, right? It's called the run-on sentence. I wasn't allowed to do it, but apparently in the definitions of words, Google is allowed to do it. So I don't know where that comes from. It's like the same as like a bibliography. I was taught that you needed to cite every single last thing that you ever did say, ever did hear, ever did think of. But then you read these like articles, whether or not the topic is like intellectual, you read these articles and no one's citing anything. So it's like almost like you didn't need to do it. Or all these people should be sued. Okay, food processing is a transformation of agricultural products into food, okay, or of one form of food into other forms. Okay, let's try to break this down into my terms. Agricultural products, okay, so that would be like lettuce into food. But isn't all agriculture food? Okay, so like agricultural products, like an egg. If I crack open an egg and cook it, is that me processing the egg? And then turning one form of food into other forms? Is that like taking sour cream, cheese, a reduced fat sour cream, regular cheese, a taco shell, a tortilla, beans, or spicy chicken, and putting it into a crunch wrap? Is that your processing? Interesting. Okay. Okay. So this is from Stephanie K. Nutrition. See, I'm doing citing. Group 1. So this is called the classification of processed foods. I encourage everybody to open up your computer, your laptop, your iPad, your Samsung tablet, yikes, and do this, follow along at home. Classification of processed foods. Group 1 is unprocessed. Okay, so that's almost like it's not processed. Why is it even on this chart? Unprocessed or minimally processed foods. So that would be tomatoes. There's a picture of like a fruit basket. So I don't know, a fruit basket and a fruit and veggie basket. That would be tomatoes, corn, zucchini. I assume this is just sort of symbolic. Okay, so fruit and veggies. They're either unprocessed or minimally processed. That makes sense, because I feel like unless you pull it out of the ground yourself, like there is some processing. You know? And like if you wash it, like if I pull a sweet potato from the depths of the earth and just like eat it, that's unprocessed. But like if I wash it and like try and get the dirt and worms off, is that considered processed now? I don't know. Okay, and then meat. Okay, that's kind of a lie, because there's so many processes that go into making sure that you're not going to get E. coli, salmonella, or whatever the one is with pork from meat. So it's kind of processed. So that's definitely under the category of minimally. Okay, so this next one is confusing to me. It looks like a bowl of cereal, but there's no way that cereal's not processed. So we're going to move on and ask Stephanie K. Note to the editor, to Stephanie K. Okay, group 2, processed culinary ingredients. So that's like salt, honey, olive oil, and butter. I can't believe it's not butter. I feel like that's definitely processed. And then, so it's for some reason lower, even though it is openly processed, it's only a group 2. I'm just assuming that like the higher we get up into these group numbers, the worse it is for you, because all my favorite foods are in group 4. Okay, so group 3, processed foods. So this is just straight up processed. That's bread, anything in a can, cheese, salami. So basically, if you are at the grocery store and there's regular cheese and then unprocessed cheese, they're lying to you. It's probably the same things, just in a different package and $5 more expensive. Okay, and then group 4, the good stuff, is called ultra processed foods. That will be the title of this episode. And it is hot dogs. I can't make out what that is, but cupcakes, chocolate chips, pop, and such. Okay, so that didn't fully answer my question, but that's fine. It didn't need to. I have a harrowing story to tell. So I don't know if I've ever talked about this specific article of clothing that I own, but I might have when I got it because it was such a good deal. Now, I say, did I talk about this before? But the good news is, the good and the bad news is that no one listens to this. So even if I did, no one will hear either episode. So it doesn't really matter. I can kind of just say whatever I want. I could probably like list out every set of numbers on my credit card and I would be fine. Like I'd feel safe doing that. I'm not going to do that because you never know. But like I feel like I could be like, and the number is 2974, expiry, 02 something something, number on the back, which what the hell is that number on the back? Like that little one with in the box, it's like 3 digits. Like what's that? I never understood that. It seems a bit unnecessary. And I'd always forget it. Like for some reason I would be able to memorize like the long number, but I could not for the life of me tell you the number on the back. Which is so annoying because when I'm trying to buy stuff on Amazon, or not Amazon, I guess they save your credit card, but when I'm trying to do online shopping, Christmas shopping, if you will, holiday shopping, I'll be so close and I'll be like, yes, I think that's my credit card number. I think that's my expiration date. I'm going to do it. I don't need to, get out of bed and find the pants I was wearing last Thursday to pull out my wallet and then pull out the credit card and then look at the number. But then it'll be like, what is that thing called? It's like the security number or whatever. Brutal. Anyway, I have these pants from Old Navy. And this is I'm not speaking ill of Old Navy. I would never do that. But they're $8. And they're jeans. And I found them on, obviously, the clearance rack. And they were pretty much my size. I don't really have a size. Like, nothing really fits me. It's either too big or too small. Because I'm special and unique. And just, like, I guess, oddly proportions. I don't have a butt. I don't know if I've been open about that. I'm like... It's just flat back there. So sometimes, like, I don't fill out the butt of the, like, size that would actually be mine. But then when I go, like, get a smaller size, it doesn't really fit in the waist either comfortably. So it's just really, it's really brutal. I think I have to get, like, I'll just get the injection of Christmas spirit. Anyway. I have these $8 jeans from Old Navy, and they're ripped jeans. I wouldn't normally buy ripped jeans, but they were $8, and I needed jeans. And when I say ripped, they're not ripped to the point where, like, you can see any flesh. They're just, like, the little frayed bits, like, like that white stuff. And then there's, like, it's just a jean at the back of it, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm explaining this properly, but, like, every ripped part, it's like a fake rip, and then underneath the rip, if you pulled the threads, there's like still jean. There's still denim. That's the term. There's still denim in the back. Until the other day, by the other day I mean yesterday, I was running an errand, and I had some time to kill, waiting for something to be finished. I don't know why I'm being secretive, like I'm in the FBI. I was getting new tires. So I was walking around, and I put my phone in my pocket. And I have, like, the Max or what, I don't know, the big phone. Which, can I just say, I got a big phone before it was cool. And I know I'm always like, I started this. I was ridiculed. I was mocked. I was hated, truly. I felt personally victimized by the fact that I had a bigger phone. And everyone was looking at me like, that's unnecessary. Why do you have such a big phone? That's so stupid. That must be so inconvenient. Every single one of those people have big phones now. And by every single one, I mean all 2 of them that I can think of. And it's just like, well, maybe you should have listened to the Trailblazer. But I do remember that was like such a huge deal that like phones were going to be huge. And now it's like so normal and doesn't even feel that big. In fact, I found an old, I'll get back to the story about my pants, don't worry. We have time. But I found an old phone. I found I had like an iPhone 4, like my first phone. And it's so small. Like, I don't know how we got anything done. Now, luckily, I was like 14 years old when I had that phone and didn't have anything to get done. So it was like totally fine. Like I don't even think I sent one email that year. So we're good. But yeah. Oh, I didn't say, I'm drinking coffee. It's extremely cold. Usually I don't put anything in my coffee. To be festive, I got a pumpkin syrup. I've talked about this before. So every once in a while, I'll throw that in there. My plan was to get a gingerbread syrup, but, and I think that's the problem why I have no holiday spirit. My plan was to get a gingerbread syrup, but I have again, the pumpkin pie syrup, and it tastes, like it has those spices in that I'm sure it tastes all the same. And I wanted to get rid of the pumpkin one before I got another one, but I feel like I'm not going to go through the pumpkin one in time. So we're probably going to skip the gingerbread syrup this year, which I think is the issue. But what I meant to tell you was I don't normally put milk or anything in my coffee, which the problem with that is there's nothing in which to cool down the coffee from boiling hot. Is coffee processed? For sure, right? Let me see. What level? We got to ask Stephanie, whatever her name was. Is coffee processed? In the simplest terms, processing coffee just means removing the bean from the fruit. From the fruit? Wait, is coffee a fruit? Someone did tell me chocolate is salad, because like cocoa comes from lettuce or something. Okay, wait. How coffee is made. This is from Julia Bobak from the website Homegrounds. Okay, ready? This is the processing chain of coffee. So there's such thing, who knew, as a coffee cherry. I feel like I might have known that. You know when something sounds familiar to you, but you're still shocked? Okay, so coffee cherry is processed into 2 green coffee beans. That's disgusting. It looks like moldy coffee beans. But isn't that something to do, like, can't you buy like teas with green coffee, like caffeine? Not matcha. I'm not that stupid, but like, let me Google that. One sec. Okay, let's finish this and then we'll circle back on the green coffee beans. Okay, so then the cherry coffee cherry, holy crap, is processed into green coffee beans, and then green coffee beans are roasted. This I knew, are roasted and become brown coffee beans, and then you grind them, brew them, and that becomes a cup of coffee. Okay, so that's the simple, like, 4-step version. But there is, if you're interested, you go to Coffee Bean Corral website, and there's like a 15 steps, but step 15 is drinking, and that, I mean, is pretty self-explanatory. So let's say 14. Oh, there's like fermenting involved, there's pickling. Okay. You know what? I'm not gonna do this time, but if you're interested, I do recommend. All I Googled was, is coffee processed? And it was a fountain of knowledge for you. But just to circle back on those green coffee beans, green coffee beans, green tea, Anyway, back to my pants. I, again, was running an errand, killing some time. And when I stepped into my pants yesterday, which could also be the name of this episode, I heard like a rip, and I wasn't exactly sure why. And I thought like it was just my toe got caught onto something, like just got caught in the thread, not the thread, but like in the hole. Like I thought my toe got caught onto something. I'll explain my theory as to what it was later. But at this point in the story, my toe got caught. Okay, so now I'm walking around the store, and I put my phone in my left pocket, and I feel like a thud. And what that thud was my phone going through, like my phone going into the pocket. This is like how it was processed. My phone went into the pocket, and then it was processed through the hole in the upper thigh of my jeans that I now believe happened when my toe caught in the ripped part and then broke through. So I take my phone out of my pocket and I look down, and my not entire, but like a good portion of the top of my thigh is just out. It's just out for all to see in the middle of a hardware store, no less, at, I don't know, 7:52 in the morning. Actually, no, it was probably closer to like an 8:15. Still not great. Like even Eastern time, that's not even noon. And I just have my thigh out. And I've never had my thigh out in public before, I don't think. Not that I can think of. Like I don't know that I would have ever had a reason to. So I was just like what do I do? Like it's not the end. Like it's one of those things where it's like it's not the end of the world. Like people buy pants like that, and if it was anywhere, if it was below the knee or below, I probably wouldn't have even thought twice about it and just been like, okay, whatever. Like this is like ripped jeans, but it was like my upper thigh. You know when in your head something sounds like such a big deal, and then you say it out loud, and then you're like, oh, like is this a big deal? I don't know. But like, have you ever had your upper thigh exposed when you didn't mean to in the middle of a hardware store on a Tuesday at 8:15? Because it changes you. I was changed in that moment. I don't know if it's a forever change, but it was a momentary change. I was processed. I started at A and I arrived at B, and like I didn't ask for any of that. So I guess my question is like, do I throw those pants out? Again, they were $8. I've been wearing them for probably almost 2 years. Like I definitely got my money's worth. Do I like try and crochet them? But what's the difference between crochet and sewing? Let's see. Also, I think the new name of this podcast in general could be like, what's the difference between? Do I have to do a rebrand? I'll do a rebrand when people start listening, because then it'll be, essentially not nobody asked for this, because if people are listening, but at this point no one's listening, so nobody asked for it is, or asked for this or whatever this is stupid thing is called. What was I Googling? The difference between what? The difference between, what was I talking about? Ripped jeans. Sewing and crocheting. There we go. Sewing, and I can't spell crochet. I'm just gonna have to pray that Google knows what I'm talking about. I spelt it, just so everyone knows, I spelt it CORCET, and then E with the accent at the end, like Beyonce. Crochet, or corchete. Oh my God, I did it. That's correct. What? You know why? I'm actually good at spelling words that make no sense, because I spell in a way that makes no sense. So like if there's a word, and I guess not the problem, but the thing with this word is it's French. So, it's in a different language. But like if there's like a silent letter or like a obscure like consonant or something like that, like I can kind of spell that word, because the weird spelling is how I spell normally. Like I spell incorrectly, so it kind of works in my favor. So that was a win at 8:43 a.m. So much different than 24 hours ago when I was trying to cover my thigh with my hand at the hardware store. Again, another covering my thigh with my hand at the hardware store. Honestly, that's top contender for a title. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. The major difference. What is the difference between sewing? Someone just tell me. Crocheting is using slip knots to create a fabric. Sewing is attaching two pieces of fabric together to make an item. Slip knots. Okay, I think we officially need like Google for Dummies. If I'm coming to you asking what crocheting is, I can promise you I don't know what a slip knot is. I just don't. Like, can we start from the beginning? Quilting, and then what's quilt? Okay, I'm done. I quit. I quilt. Okay, that's the name of the podcast. I quilt. I quilt. Just writing that down. Okay. Because a quilt is like the little squares, right? Like it's like little squares that form a big blanket. That's pretty cool. Well, let's see how my coffee is done. I usually, I can time my cup of coffee to last the full episode. I'm also really good at, I don't know if it's good because I'm not trying to do it. It just sort of happens. I'm good at, like, if I have, like, a card or something, or, like, a piece of paper, or, like, in school when I had to do, like, an essay, but you had to do it by hand, brutal. I'm good at, like, timing, not timing, but formatting it so that, like, the last word is on the last page. Not to brag. But, like, I have so little to brag about that sometimes I gotta pull out, stuff like this. Like, it takes a second for me to be like, what am I good at? Writing on paper. I can't believe it's December. What is it? December. I can't see because the green line on my phone when I dropped it is covering the date. But I'm pretty sure it's like the 12th or something. No, it's the 13th, even worse. Like, Christmas is in kind of like a week and a half. That's not all right. That's not okay. It's already Vlogmas Day 13, and I didn't even do Vlogmas Day 1. Oh, you know what I should do next year? I sort of thought about doing it this year. I should do Vlogmas on this. That sucks. Why didn't I do that? I could have just did like 5 minutes every day for the month of December. Crap. Okay. We'll think about that next year. I love, like I've said before, I have my best ideas for Halloween costumes on November 1st. And then because it's obviously like a year before Halloween, the next year, like, I've forgotten them all. So it's very possible that I'm just having the same idea and then forgetting it immediately. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. So I was watching, again, trying to get into the holiday spirit. Time's running out. I was watching Cindy Lou Who. What's that movie? I was watching How the Grinch Stole Christmas. 2 things. One, the Grinch is hilarious. Like, the actual Grinch. So funny. Extremely relatable. Doesn't really want to do social interaction. Like, lives at the top of a hill. The only way I don't relate is, like, I like Christmas. He doesn't like Christmas. But we see sort of throughout the film why he doesn't like Christmas. And at the end, spoiler alert, he loves Christmas. Also, his heart was 2 sizes too small, which is technically like a medical exemption. So I don't know why we're all just, like, laughing at him, It's like there's reasons behind why. And I think it's a great film. But, no offense, Cindy Lou Who is, like, kind of annoying. Like, she lives in, like, Christmas Town. Like, there's just Christmas everywhere. And she's like, why are we doing this? This is silly. This is stupid. Which, okay, like, sure. Let's try and relate with her for a second. Like, I would totally understand if, you are at a place where you're like, listen, this thing is being forced at me, Christmas is being thrown at me, so I'm rejecting it. Like, that's her rebelling. Sure, I get it. So that I can almost excuse. But what makes absolutely no sense is in the beginning of the film, the Grinch treats her like crap. And she's like, he's not so bad. It's like, no, I think he is that bad. And I know I just said he was funny, but he's funny from my perspective as a viewer, getting to see his home scenes. But, like, him in the group, he's terrible. He's, like, rude to you. And she's like, he's not so bad. And I guess it's a noble cause. She's, like, taking up, like, she's getting her New Year's resolution done early, like, or maybe it was her New Year's resolution from the prior year to, like, do some charity work. But, like, that's not safe, Cindy Lou Who. Like, that's not a good message to be like, hey, kids watching this movie, find your neighborhood, for lack of a better word, like, creepy person and, like, befriend them, invite them over for Christmas. If they're just, like, a sad, maybe lonely person, do that. But, like, not if they try to throw you in a mail thing, like a mail slot. I don't know. I was just like, every turn she made, every decision she made, I was like, Cindy, really? Really, Cindy? I also don't know if I talked about this last time, but I am going to say it. I like fruitcake. It's that it looks gross, but it's like those things that are like stacked up at the side in all the grocery stores that like for some reason the stacking like looks the same from December 1st to January 1st. Like it's just all the same. I like fruitcake. So if you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you. If you do have a problem with that, but you receive fruitcake, just send it on over. I like the icing version. I prefer the icing version, but even not the icing version is fine. I just recently learned there's like different types. There's ones that have those like gross cherries in it, and then there's one that I think have more like, it's more like the hardcore version with like the dates and whatever. I actually don't know if there's dates, but you know what I mean. The only part I don't enjoy is I don't enjoy when it tastes like alcohol. Like I don't know why that's necessary, but whatever. One last thing before I go. I am so close to losing it. No, I am so close to fulfilling it wasn't even my goal to read 50 books, but in the last couple of years, I've become a reader again. I was a reader in my youth, about 10 years ago. No, probably closer to 15. I read almost every Jerome Tilton book, known to men and mice, of mice and men. And I decided a few years ago I was gonna start reading again. And this year, my goal of how many books to read is always like one more than the amount of books I read the year before. And I think last year I read 41, so my goal this year was 42. And I'm at like 47. Soon to be 48, I believe. Because I'm trying to read Christmas books, so I'm reading the book version of Christmas with the Cranks, where they decide to skip Christmas and try and go on a cruise, but then it doesn't really work. One, I'm reading it because I bought it, I think, in high school on my iTunes, so it's still on my iTunes. Two, I'm reading it because I want to inject the Christmas spirit. And three, I'm reading it because it's really short. And at this point, to get to my goal of, I passed my goal of 42, but I'm like, let's just get to 50. So I'm basically only reading short books for the rest of the year. And here's the thing. 3 of the books that I've read this year, I can't remember which ones, but they were audiobooks. So I feel like I have to read like 53 books for my goal to count, because I have to have read 50 books. Even though last year, out of the 41 books that I read, I probably actually read maybe 6 or 7 of them and did audiobooks for the rest of them. I was very into audiobooks last year. But for whatever reason this year, especially once I got my my Kaboo or whatever, my e-reader, I started actually reading books. And I only did 3 audiobooks. So I feel like now I have to read, I think it's like 5 more books to count as 50 books. So I just really wanted to give everyone an update on that. And I will continue to update you for the next couple days. And for whatever reason, I forgot that the year doesn't end at Christmas. So in my original counting and like planning of what books I was going to read, I was like, oh shoot, I only have 13 days or 14 or whatever it was. But then I'm like, wait, there's a whole other week after Christmas. So I have like 3 weeks. So, and how I see, this is a life hack. If you're looking to see how long a book is, look at the, go to iTunes or whatever, Kindle, I don't know, and see how many hours the audiobook is. If it's under 9, you're golden. If it's between 9 and 12, not too bad. If it's 12 plus, just throw the book out. Just throw it out. And make sure you're looking at the unabridged version, because I don't think they do this much anymore, but there used to be abridged versions of audiobooks, which I guess is like the shorter version. And I would sometimes go look at an audiobook, and it would be like 6 hours. I'm like, oh, perfect. I can read this in a day, because I'm a very slow reader, which is why I was always doing the audiobooks, because I felt like if I'm looking at an audiobook, what deterred me from reading for so long is it took so much time. And for, most of the last decade, I was, in school with good amounts of homework. Obviously the last, like university and stuff. Like if I was reading, it was reading the class readings, which I was never doing. So I wasn't reading. But to be honest, I feel like I can say that now. I've been out of it for a couple years. I didn't read one single book in university. Oops. I've written about 4 essays on the book 1984, and I've read it 0 times. Like, literally not once. I'm going to see how long that book is. Maybe I'll read that, and then it'll be like a full circle. I can see how wrong all my essays were. Yeah, that's the real test. I'm going to read the book and then read all my essays and see if any of it made sense. See if the quotes I took out of context even remotely fit what I was trying to say. That was the problem. I was always really good at figuring out I never plagiarized or anything, but I was always really good at not reading. That in itself is a skill. I learned how to just fill a word count. Now, unfortunately, that's not really a skill that you can apply elsewhere, but if I ever go back to school, sorry, that was my hand hitting my leg. If I ever go back to school, I can fill a word count. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, my books. Yes, so I would do the audiobooks because I liked having a number of this is how long it is going to take you to read. But now on my e-reader, it'll say you have 3 hours left of this book, you have 5 hours left of this book, and that I enjoy. So hopefully, cross my fingers, I'll give you an update next week, but I'm going to get to 50 books, which I think will technically be 53. So, very exciting. If anyone knows any short books, let me know. And again, I know no one listens to this, so there's no one to tell me that. And they're especially not listening on minute 36, trust me. Alrighty, I have to go start my day, but this was so fun. I hope you all agree. If you want to hear more, go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. You can find us. You can find me. You can listen to the podcast just straight on that website, or if you want to, listen on Spotify, Apple, other places. It's all on there. The links. We technically have an Instagram, a Twitter, a TikTok, but listen, it's not really happening over there. So just listen, which I guess if you're listening to this announcement, you know that. So I don't know why I'm wasting my breath, but anyway, I hope you all eat some fruitcake. I hope you all watch The Grinch and start kind of seeing Cindy Lou Who in a new light. But we'll forgive her in the spirit of the Christmas season. She was just going through something. What I don't think is forgivable is her performance of Where Are You Christmas? That was kind of brutal. But she tried her best. I think she tried her best. So again, we're going to forgive her. There is a light. Stay away from the light that keeps going on and off in this room. I'm obviously on my beanbag chair, and I'm looking up, and this light keeps flickering, and it's scaring me. I don't know if it's someone trying to send me a message. I don't know if they're anytime whoever they is, I say something they don't like, it goes, and then they're like, oh, it's fine, and it goes, it's my opinion on Cindy Lou. I'm she's terrible, and then I feel bad, and I'm she's just trying her best. I don't know. Okay, have a good week. I will see you next time we speak. It will be, oh my gosh, it'll be 3 days before Christmas Eve, which is 4 days before Christmas. That's insane. That's not right. How did this happen? Where did the time go? Okay, I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm a minute and a half away from getting to 40 minutes, which for some reason in my brain just seems like such a cool number. So I'm just going to keep talking for the next minute. What could I recite? I could do a character resuscitation. What do I have any monologues memorized? 77 years ago. What was that guy talking about? Was that Abraham Lincoln? I will say, I don't really know the presidents, but I know the presidents a lot more than I know the prime ministers of Canada. I don't think I could name more than 4 prime ministers of Canada. We got John A. Macdonald, I think was the first guy. We got Trudeau. We got Stephen Harper. Yeah, I think that's it. That's definitely not it. There was definitely tons in between the first one and the last 2, but I can't name them. There are definitely less though than in America, because I think there's not really a definite rule that they have to get you out by a certain time. In America, you serve 2 terms, 8 years total, and then you're done. Whereas here, they can kind of keep you around. I don't really know why or how that works, but that's an episode for a different day. Okay, we hit 40 minutes. Goodbye. Thank you.